Hello, and welcome to the series where I show you what I'm doing to try and become a web developer. My name's Craig, and this is week 21. This week I passed the 400-hour mark of doing web development since September, and it's just a little bit crazy to think I've put in this much time, but I'm still only at the tip of the iceberg. I am so excited to continue and see how I can continue to improve. This week I've worked on a few projects. I've applied to 2 jobs, but I want to get another application off this weekend. And I actually finished the foundation path on the Odin Project. I'll touch on that later, but I'm over the moon. Let's first see how much time I've spent on web development this week. In total this week, I've spent 20 hours and 20 minutes, and that's split up as 7 hours 40 for tutorials and 12 hours 40 for projects. So not like a huge amount of time spent on web development this week. I did find myself a bit distracted at times, but I think that's okay. I just need to improve upon that a little bit next week. Maybe aim for 21 hours or 21 and a half. Just make sure I don't burn out, but improve incrementally. Let's see what I've been learning this week. So there's 2 things I'm going to cover here, and that is the Odin Project and the MERN course I've been taking. So first up, the Odin Project. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's free, and it's pretty amazing actually what all the content they've put on. I've recently just signed up to the Discord server they have. I know a little bit late, but it is wonderful. I'm seeing people post questions which I've struggled with. Other people are answering them. I haven't actually posted or answered anything myself. I'm just kind of looking a little bit. I need to get involved. But the community seems wonderful, so definitely check it out. What I've enjoyed about this foundation path is all the resources it links to. So generally, it's got quite a lot of information in the articles themselves. It does link to other articles like the Mozilla documentation. There's a lot of YouTube videos and other kind of blog articles that people have written. So there is a vast amount of information, which is brilliant. Sometimes I've taken courses and they just skim the surface. This really delves into it. I will admit it can be overwhelming, and sometimes the information goes over your head. Well, it did for me. But having the option to just go back to it and review when I feel a little bit more comfortable with it is amazing. Finishing up the path, I've created a Etch A Sketch and a calculator this week, which I'll be going over later. I do already feel like I want to revisit my calculator and I want to kind of improve it somehow, but I may give it a week or 2 before going back to it. The back-end part was really just a brief introduction, and I kind of struggled to concentrate on it, so I'll revisit that closer to the time when I'm doing some actual back-end stuff on the next path. Speaking of the next path, so there's 2 options. There's Ruby on Rails or JavaScript. I'm going to choose the JavaScript option. I don't really think it matters. It's more about learning how to learn to program, I guess, getting the right mindset. And I just feel more comfortable with JavaScript, so I think that's a better route for me. The Odin Project also recently announced that it's updated its HTML and CSS parts of both courses. So it's split between, I believe it's intermediate HTML and CSS and advanced. So in the next path that I'm taking, it will go intermediate HTML, JavaScript, and then advanced HTML. I think that will be really useful to go over it. I think it includes things like animations, grids, accessibility, I believe it goes over as well. So they're things that I really want to work on, and I'm looking forward to improving on it. The second thing is the MERN course. I missed it last week, so I'm glad to get back into it this week. I'm still not 100% vibing with the teacher, and sometimes it is hard to kind of concentrate on the videos. But this week it introduced Webpack and Babel. I'm still not 100% sure what they are, but it was used to create a React app without using create React app command in npm. or npx. So that was interesting to see how React could be created without using that command, but I don't know, it was a bit odd. One thing to watch out as well is this video is a little bit old, I'd say, because it uses React version 5, and there's a few things to watch out, like it uses switch where it should use root instead, and it doesn't nest root inside of roots, which can cause a few issues. But overall, still enjoying what I'm learning from it. Now let's dive over the computer. So I've got 2 projects to go over, along with the 3 projects from the Odin project and the front-end mentor that I finished off from the previous week. First up, I'm going to go over this alarm clock built with JavaScript. So you can put in an hour and a minute and an alarm will go off, it will sound and it will flash pink. So let's do that. What hour is it now? Say 11:40. So that will go off in like 50 seconds. I will admit that I had to briefly look at a tutorial to get this analog clock working. I just couldn't get it styled quite right, and I still don't think it is quite right. There's a few things that it just looks a bit off. I don't know. But generally I'm really happy with that. I would like to add a toggle switch maybe to only show one or the other, like a digital or analog. But other than that, it was good fun, you know, using dates and times. It's always something that I struggle with. And it just updates constantly. So I've got a set timeout, I believe, somewhere. I'll just be quiet for a minute because the alarm's going to go off. Nice. If I click the red button, it doesn't actually do anything. So if I just quickly refresh this page, if I don't set an alarm, it will just work as a normal clock, which might be quite nice. So one idea I have to do in the future is to build a dashboard. You know, use a weather API and use API and have a clock. Whether or not I can do that quite yet, I'm not too sure, but that's an idea I want. So I'm building up these elements as I go along. Next up is this kind of to-do list / daily goals thing. So after watching the DOM Crash Course video series last week, the last video was doing a to-do list, and I wanted to do something like that but put my own twist on it. So I've got this daily goals page, so you can say, I don't know, I want to be awesome today, if I can type, because being awesome is awesome. And that just gets added to this list down below, and I can toggle my reason why. I think that's really cool. It also has a click event on the LI. So initially I wanted it to be a double click, but for the life of me it just wasn't recognizing this double click, possibly because I have this click underneath. So what I've done is I've got a click event on it, and I have a click counter. So if it clicks twice before, I think it's like 0.3 seconds, it will delete the element like such. And then we'll just say run 200,000, 200,000, yeah, miles. I really cannot type it today. So I thought that was pretty good, nice little twist on it. I do want to make a few changes to this. So right now, if I refresh the page, it will lose all the information. So what I want to do is add local storage to it. That will mean I'll need a button to delete the local storage as well, but I think that should be fine. Really happy with that, and it'll be something I will probably start to use in the future. I always write my daily lists on a whiteboard over there, but it might be good to do it on this daily goals page. One thing I noticed before, so this is a text area, I can expand it and shrink it. However, if I expand it past this, the parent container does not expand, and I believe that's because I've got a max width on, so I need to put a max width on this text area as well. here is the front-end mentor project that I started last week. And last week I'd only built it for mobile, which generally went okay. There's a few issues. And this week I've built it for desktop. Now, I'm not 100% happy with how I've done it. As you can probably tell here, I've got a few different media queries, which isn't brilliant. I should have just done it at the one level. But overall, it does kind of look like how it did in the design mockup. Possibly a bit more space needed here. And I've got the hover items working now. These are a bit of a pain, getting the social icon working. You can probably tell the Facebook one's a bit weird. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. And I believe I changed this to be an SVG rather than a CSS mask. Overall, it wasn't too difficult, using a lot of grids. It's okay. Next up, I've made some changes to the rock, paper, scissors. And yeah, probably not the best UI, I'll be honest. You know, they do scale and they've got hover changes. If I click on that, you know, it tells you what the current result was and it will update the score. I need to stop getting draws. Oh my goodness. There we go. So the computer wins one. And it's the first of 5 wins. Then it says the computer wins. Better luck next time. You can reset it. So that wasn't too difficult. I believe I changed the JavaScript around slightly just to make it a little bit better. Next up, I've got this Etch A Sketch. I just realized I did not change the title of the page. And generally this is really fun. I quite liked how it's done, and I made, well, I believe good changes. So instead of just doing it on hover, you've got to do Alt on your mouse and then you can draw anywhere. So I thought that was quite nice. Let's just do a C and a D. Well, that does not look like a D. And because it doesn't look like a D, I can erase it. So there we go. That looks even worse. Oh my goodness. What I'm not a big fan of is, you know, I've got to scroll down the page a little bit here. Not great. And what I do like is that if I do it on mobile, touch works. So I can do it on touch. I thought that was really cool. It wasn't something that was asked to be done. It was a good challenge. I struggled and had to Google it quite a bit to get the touch working. And I've got the rainbow working fairly well. I think I just do a random color on each every time it passes over a square. The eraser is quite good. You can delete things that I don't need. It refreshes the grid when I change the size. I think 100 is far too much. It looks crazy. So if I put that back to black, it's really hard. You know, you can draw probably some nice things there, but it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. And what I couldn't get working either was a grayscale version, which was asked for in the project. So I'll just put this down to a smaller grid. Every passover would be something like 0.1 alpha. And then when it passed over again, it would be 0.2 and 0.3, so on. So it would get darker and darker with each time it was passed over. And I could not get that working. So that is something I'll need to revisit in the future. And finally, I've got this calculator. I have done a calculator before, but I believe this one is better. You know, it doesn't use eval, and I think the code is a little bit better. It's cleaner, and I can't use my keyboard to type, so that is good as well. Backspace works. You know, I think it goes to 5 decimal places. Whoops. Oh, I've just turned off numlock. Don't know what I've just done there. I've just noticed an error. So if I do -9, I can't divide that. That is weird. I can't use the multiples. It just kind of stops my calculator, which is bizarre. That is really weird. I'm gonna have to check that one out. So yeah, I'm gonna have to revisit this one eventually. And that's all the projects for this week. That is everything for week 21. As I've said a few times, I'm just really happy that I've hit over 400 hours and I've finished the Odin Project Foundation path. Now, unfortunately, I didn't create a React app like I said I would last week, but I did touch on it slightly with the Mern course. I'll try and build one Next week, I just have no idea what to build, so I need a few ideas there. Next week, I'll look to start the Odin Project JavaScript path, apply for 1 or 2 more jobs, do a front-end mentor challenge, and a CSS battle, just to keep on top of my skills there. Links to everything will be down below. As always, I'd greatly appreciate your thoughts and advice. And if you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, then please subscribe. I hope you all have a good day, and I'll catch you later.